Hello and welcome to the Sonicview XP Learning Center. So there are a few ways to assign channels to DCAs and mute groups. The first way that you may have noticed is from the individual channel overview screen. So if we select channel 17 and then go to the overview tab here at the top, you've probably noticed that there are groups of DCAs and also the mute groups in here. By touching each individual one, you're able to assign this channel to multiple mute groups and DCAs. And the same can be done across every channel. There is another way to assign these that you might prefer. We can go to the DCA channel layer, which if you're working on a Sonicview 24 XP is going to be on layer 4. If you're working on a Sonicview 16 XP, that's going to be on layer 6. So here you can see our DCAs. And I've already assigned a couple of those channels on here as you just previously saw. But let's select DCA 1. By doing that, we pull up our DCA assign screen, which goes to the input tab, and there's also an output tab as well. So from here, we can assign anything to this DCA. So let's assign channels 17 through 24. And we'll pretend that this is our drum mix. And now if we wanted to do something similar with DCA2, we can just touch DCA2 at the top, and now we can assign those as well. Now from our output tab, the DCA needs to be assigned an output so that it can be effective in actually doing its job. So let's say on DCA1, we want to assign this to the main left-right mix. So that way, if these are our drums, and now, we may find during our performance that the drums are a little bit too high, or maybe they're a little bit too low, we can take our DCA1 fader and adjust it ever so slightly to the main to get it to sound balanced overall. Now what we can do is go to DCA2, also on the output tab, and we can assign this someplace else. Let's say mix 4. Perhaps that's our drummer's in-ear monitor, and maybe they're finicky and they want a little bit less here and there or a little bit more. And this makes it easy to pull up or pull down. And now that's adjusting the overall drum take volume to the mix. For assigning to our mute groups, we'll go to our mute group assign tab. And from here, we can see all 8 of our mute groups at the top. And then also similarly, our output tab here and our input tab as well. So again, we're pretending we're doing a drum mix right now. So again, let's select our channel 17 through 24. Now we need to go to our output. So we're on mute group 1, and let's say we're also doing this for our drummer. Maybe sometimes the drummer absolutely just wants the drums cut out of the mix so we can focus on, the other instruments there. So we'll put this back on mix 4. Now, if we go to mute group master, we can see here on mute group 1, we've got channel 17 through 24. And it's going to mix 4, which is there at the bottom. So if we select mute group off, then it will turn to mute group on. So let's take a look at what that looks like on our actual channels. So let's go back to layer 1. Here's our channels that are in question that we've assigned to this mute group on, and now we can see all of our mute lights for those particular channels are flashing. So let's turn that off, and let's take a different look here. Out of the box, our user keys at the top here, 1, 2, 3, and 4, these all come assigned to different mute groups. So this is a quick way to do this function without actually having to be on the mute group master screen. So let me press user key 1. And now we can see mute group 1 has been muted. And we can do the same across 2, 3, and 4. Now we have 8 different mute groups. So we can actually assign, all 8 of them if we would like to any of our different user keys. And let's take a quick look at how to do that. By going to our main menu and then front panel setup, we can see user key setup. So by clicking that, we now have all of our user-defined controls here. So here we see our mute group 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we start getting into the sends on faders, which is great, but let's say we need to control more of our mute groups. So by doing this, We'll scroll down to mute group, which we can see on the left. And now we will assign this to mute group 5. And then we'll click apply. And now we can see here, mute group 5. So let's take a look at how this has affected all these. We'll go back to our DCAs and we'll go to the mute group master, and we have now added mute group 5 right here. So now I'll click the user key 5, and we can see that this has now been muted. So that's an easy way to get around this and assign both for our DCAs and our mute groups, the inputs and the outputs, where they're going and routed to, and how that affects the overall signal to our different mixes or our mains. And then the user keys being defined here, this is a really great way to move back and forth without having to go to any sort of internal screens like this, although that's certainly an option. Our next video in the Sonicview XP Learning Center series is going to cover custom layer setup and also layer key setup. So be sure to click on the screen and follow that link to get more information.